does a hero truly mean?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 4 here for me in the TI7 CIS Regional Qualifiers. Once again, one step further towards the end. Looking at the bracket right now, M19, first time we see it here on this particular line, at least for my games once again, in the qualifiers. They're up against Vega Squadron and are sitting pretty at 7-1. Pretty good scoreline here, all but guaranteed to make it to the next round, along with Team Empire, which is the one game that they dropped to. So
10
both
seconds
of
to
these
go.
teams looking kind of like a set. Vega Squadron though,
5
well, they lost
seconds.
the team spirit just a moment earlier, so they're sitting at a precipice. 5-2 is their own scoreline. Maybe they can
Reserve
pull up a
time.
miracle win here against M19, who've been looking extremely strong this entire qualifier. My name is Dragonjob. We have a change of co-casters
Dire's
though.
pick.
Garda had some other commitments, but instead, I'm joined once again by Skim Gaming. Welcome back, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great stuff with Garter, by the way.
Radiant's pick.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Like you said, M19, pretty much the strong or one of the strongest teams in this qualifier right now. Very surprisingly so. They came out of the open qualifier. They haven't really been around for too long, and Phonic has really been sort of absent from the top
10
brass of the
seconds to
CIS
go.
region for like the better of almost 2 years now. So
Yeah.
very
5
surprising to
seconds.
see M19 succeed like this, but obviously, we're very happy with ever contender
Reserve time.
takes it up with these teams. And the Vega Squadron also actually looking kind of strong. Sure, they did lose to, what was it, Team Spirit and Gambit Esports,
Yeah.
but still, in the other games, they looked still very convincing, and they're on the way to make it to the top four. If they win this game, I believe they actually there's a tiebreaker scenario potentially.
Yeah.
Let me
Navi
see.
is up against Spirit right now, I believe, on the other line. So
Yes,
if Navi
yes.
wins this and Vega wins this, they will both be at 6-2. And then the very last match actually on this line is Navi versus Vega. So if that happens, if Navi wins against
Dire's
Spirit,
plan.
then this match will actually decide, I believe, who will take that fourth slot.
Honestly, let's hope then that both Vega and Navi win, so we have like a really exciting match at the
Yeah.
end of the day
Actually, it's a three-way tiebreaker then.
with Team Spirit, isn't it?
Yeah,
Radiant's plan.
because if they lose to Navi,
Well,
they will
then they're at
also still sit at six and
six,
two, together with
six
Navi.
three. No, they'll be like
Oh, yeah,
six
6-3.
three.
Yeah, whatever. But they still have 6 wins.
I don't think they're gonna
Dire's
So
make a
plan.
three-way tie though. Let me just
yeah,
quickly check this.
before that very last match. So we before Navi versus Vega, we'll have three teams potentially sitting at 6-2 if Navi win and if Vega win here. But
Radiant's ban.
not either Navi or Vega will get that last point. So Spirit, if they don't win against Navi, they're actually out, I think.
No, 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 no. If there's
Oh no, they're not.
definitely there's a potential for a tiebreaker here where two teams will be
Radiant's pick.
at 6-3 at the end of the
Oh
day.
yeah, oh yeah, that
Um,
was the thing.
yeah, two teams
Uh,
will likely be at 6-3. So this is definitely important for Vega. They need to get this win, or any of these last two, definitely.
yeah,
But it's going to be a tall order against,
10
again,
seconds to go.
M19, 7-1 scoreline. You could argue, or you could make the
5
argument,
seconds.
M19 technically already through. Maybe they're not really, as invested as much, but still, they want that. I
Reserve
think you want
time.
the number one seed right now if you're M19.
yeah,
So any win here is quite important. And looking at the draft, I want to say pretty standard for both teams, really. Vega definitely have been prioritizing the Ursa a lot, and the Treant, of course. Treant, very popular in general. And M19 prioritizing the Nexus Assassin quite a bit as well. So very standard for both sides, and pretty much standard overall in the meta. I don't think anything really stands out here. Could maybe highlight the early Warlock pick. Sometimes it's more of a third, fourth pick, but still very normal.
yeah, yeah. I would agree. There's nothing too crazy happening here. And also coming back to the Bloodseeker, even though we've seen 3 games in a row last night, that was actually a bit of
Dire's
an
pick.
anomaly because overall, as of this morning, at the very least, let me
No
just double
Bloodseeker.
check that. Yeah, no
Yep.
Bloodseekers today, I believe, or not too many, at least in the CS qualifiers. And as of this morning, it was picked in 11 games and banned in 13. I've seen a few bans
10
today as
seconds
well, I
to
believe,
go.
but no picks. So
It's
not
it's
actually too many games that he's
it's
made an appearance
definitely
on.
it's definitely bigger in SEA. It's definitely bigger in SEA, but in CIS, yeah, like you said, it's been banned a couple times, and I believe Cyber Angie just lost the game with it against Empire. It's by no means is it a sort of like a core pick. I think it's still very situational, but the fact that it has become situational makes it a bit more dangerous, I think, because Bloodseeker is not always something you have in your mind, and it is still something new. The
Yeah.
hero by himself obviously isn't new, and again, he hasn't really been changed all too much. But the fact that people have recognized the fact that the strength that he brings to the table, that they are worth the risk or worth his weaknesses, I think that makes him very dangerous. And you still need to get used to playing against him. Certain heroes you just haven't played against them in a long time, not even in pubs really. You kind of need to feel like a rhythm how you as a team react towards that hero. So
Yeah.
that's why I think a lot of times, or in the beginning, we saw a lot of successful Bloodseeker runs.
Well, we'll see whether it makes an appearance. He is maybe an opening year for either team. I mean, as far as combos go, it's pretty decent for Vega because, especially with the Jakiro, right? You rupture somebody, either they run or they stand in like the Jakiro stuff, and neither option is really good. But yeah, instead, probably not going to see that now with the Slaughter pickup as well. Kind of bring them way too heavy on the melee side, but what do you make of the Slaughter in general? I mean, obviously it's a decent enough combo with the Ursa once both have blinks. It's a lot of physical damage output. But other than that, it's a hero that's kind of been put to the fringes.
Yeah, he's definitely fallen out of favor. Slaughter as an offlaner, people just started realizing that he can just bring as much utility to the table as he can in the fourth position. So that's why he's sort of fallen out of favor. But there's still reasons to pick him here and there in a dual lane scenario, together with a Jakiro perhaps, or with a Train Protector. There's lots of potential for him there. And the minus armor is still pretty strong when it comes to taking objectives or just in general team fights. But with the Ursa together, that just ensures a Roshan in most cases. So having a Slaughter on your team does definitely help. It's also a good initiator or a follow-up initiator. I mean, like you said, Slaughter and Ursa, if they jump you, it's pretty scary. And against the Jaw Ranger lineup here from M19, which I guess we sort of should have seen coming. This is sort of textbook Jaw Ranger, sort of what EG likes to pick or has liked to pick at, I believe, Manila Masters. They like to open with a Puck Warlock, then go for or Sand King Warlock or Sand King Puck, and then go for the Warlock and then for the Jaw Ranger. And there's just so much control you have. There's so much damage. You have insane slow from Warlock and Jaw Ranger. You have the control from the Nyx Assassin, or in EG's case, the Sand King, and then of course the Puck. So M19 with a strong draft, but I do think that Vega Squadron have enough to sort of catch up and sort of jump them with the Slot and Ursa. They need to be careful though. They need deep push. They just so far they only have the Chikiro. They need something to be able to divert those pushes. Otherwise, M19 is just going to take down those towers before Slaughter and Ursa can pick up the Blink Daggers.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of threat potential for M19 already between these heroes, and as you mentioned, all these slows. Definitely going to be an issue for the Ursa if he doesn't pick up a BKB, or if he doesn't have that BKB at that point. But then on the flip side, if Ursa and Slaughter jump on a Draw Ranger, or even the Puck, like if you can get that initial stun off without it being dodged, those are very easy kills. Even the Lina kind of falls into the same category.
It's interesting that they would go back for the Lina. I think it's a bit greedy because so far they only really have the Nyx Assassin as some sort of like frontliner. They do have insane amount of damage, but they're all pretty squishy. They don't really have any sort of save either. None of these heroes, aside from the Dark Ranger, go for like a defensive item, like a 4-step. I guess Nyx Assassin also goes for a 4-step at some point. Lina maybe works in towards the Yules. Puck could work in towards the Yules, but it's not the best. Those aren't necessarily the best items. So I think this is a bit risky, but at the same time, they could have immense amount of damage and push potential. Lina is an insane pusher with the Draw Ranger aura especially. So Vega Squadron, whoever they pick up here, which is most likely mid laner, will have a very difficult time in the mid lane, and ideally needs to deal with this push as well, or at the very least have some sort of answer in the mid game to these heroes. There we go.
Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. All I said on this one. I was gonna bring up something like a TA. But obviously, when it comes to deep push, that's a little bit more like direct and on the nose. Like you have to expose yourself as Bloodseeker. You add a little bit with the Blood Ray, just throwing that one out. But yeah, it's one of these heroes that can deal with the lead and mid. Unless there's a rotation, right? If Nyx Assassin kind of finds the right angle, wraps around perhaps for a stun, Bloodseeker is actually in a bit of trouble because Lina, you have like 2 or 3 levels on her. It's like Light Strike Array follow up into a Dragon Slave, a couple of right clicks. Bloodseeker is not going to have the opportunity to sustain himself with last hits, and then that's a sad
10
G.
seconds to
I can
go.
definitely see that as a possibility.
For sure. But as always, really, you can't almost never can really look at these lanes and just sort of like 1v1 scenario. Most of the times, I would not be surprised to see either Treant or Jakira help out with the lane
Yep.
to slow down the Lina, to help the Bloodseeker. There's always going to be living armor as well. But in general, yeah, the Lina will have a great time against the Bloodseeker just because she can always harass him, and because of the Draw Ranger, she deals insane amount of damage as well, and should have good lane control because of her spells, which Bloodseeker doesn't really have. So I don't know. I think this comes very much down to individual skill in terms of how they can last it against one another, and I guess that is sort of why Bloodseeker is also a cool or great hero. He sort of rewards that individual skill as well. Getting those last hits is actually double the reward sort of because you regen up as well.
Yep.
So I think that's a bit of a neat sort of aspect of that hero. But overall, also a lot of damage. We saw that yesterday. With a Dagon, you can pretty much burst down anybody you want to. And the Blood Bright is just a huge and great AoE sort of controlled spell because you prevent those heroes from positioning themselves properly. And especially heroes like Lina or Puck, who need to be in good positions during the fight.
Alright, M19 versus Vega Squadron. Game's just about to start, so it's prediction time. With team with the most Roshan kills. I kind of want to give it to Vega just because they had the Ursa, so at the very least gonna get that first, more than likely. M19, they're more like just reliant on the pure damage output.
Yeah, I'm going also for Vega. You have Slada, you have Ursa. That is. Oh my god! I have to restart my goddamn client again.
Do you have that back? Oh god.
Yeah.
But yeah, last play to be killed. I just want to give it to Phonic because it's a puck. It's very hard to kill. If he plays it correctly. Total number of smoke gang kills by 10. I'm just gonna give it to 0. It's like a very random one most of the time. How long will the game be? That as well. Just 37 to 44 minutes.
I went with I went later, like 45 to 60, I think.
Right,
The thing is, the Draw Ranger lineup, it can still very very much scale into the late game. Even though if you miss your sort of like timing, you can still scale very well. Or top lane, Phonic should be fine. Yeah. Yeah, and the same with Vega. Their lineup does scale fairly decently into the late game as well. Ursa does fall off a little bit, but Bloodseeker scales pretty well.
Yeah.
And with that, I do think that it's not unrealistic to see a bit of a longer game. We've seen quite a lot of long games actually in these past 2 days.
Yep. Especially at least for Vega, right? You can delay the game or like the momentum from an M team quite a bit just because you have the Treant Protector to just keep the towers topped up with living up.
Oh, gee.
That's what I was talking about. I was thinking a little bit later. Like if you have 1 or 2 Dragon Slaves, points up on Dragon Slave, that's just a straight up kill. But as it stands, forces out 1 of the 2 styles from G, and it makes it a little bit harder for him to just start off dominating the lane. It's very annoying, really.
This Bloodseeker is going to be starved. Nyx is doing a good job. Nyx, as in the Lina, is doing a good job at keeping this lane on her side of the river. And, well, as I say that, she's missing 2 last hits, but still. This is a good start for M19. They're not losing out on the other 2 lanes either. Well, maybe the Draw Ranger just now, but I don't think she should be dead. Yeah, she should be safe anyway. So it's not like they're really losing anything by committing this Nyx Assassin to this mid lane for the first, 2 minutes?
Dire's top tower.
Pretty much, yeah. Eventually you rotate out, but yeah, right now, Nyx level 2. She went for the Fiery Soul. Not sure about this one, but anyway, yeah, G, he is sitting at 1 last hit. Solid 1. So 1 is better than 0, but it's not a good start. Bloodseeker is still one of these heroes that need to rely on the snowball factor to just accelerate out of the mid lane.
What he has going for him is the fact that there's 3 range creeps now on M19 side, and there's almost no way for them to really get them into deny range either. So he's going to get a lot of experience now. Unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to get a lot of last hits under his tower.
Yeah. Especially with Misha and Nyx, if they... or if Nyx and Nyx, it's going to be so annoying, by the way.
It is
a player being Nyx and Nyx Assassin is also on the field. But yeah, if they just stick around, they keep this pressure up, then Bloodseeker will not even have the opening to really go forwards with a lot of these last hits.
Surprise! Oh, Nyx is taking so much damage right now. Even TPing in the slaughter. They really want this kill, but
beautiful.
Great stun from the Nyx Assassin is going to prevent that. Yeah, small misplay I think from Nyx. He used his. I guess it's not that big of a actually it's not even a misplay, but I don't know. They invested so much for something which I don't think should have or would have been a kill ever. This with a poor man's shield underneath this tier 1 tower, the extra armor from the tower as well. So I'm not sure that was really worth it.
Once again, they're just keeping away from last hits. I think that was the main goal of that. Maybe try and get him out of the speed range too. Wasn't quite successful in that, so he is at least level 4. So 2 points up Blood Rage, 2 points up into the Thirst. But what can you really do with that still? You need the golds.
And that's why he's falling back into the jungle. He realizes, alright, I'm never going to see any experience or gold in this lane anyway. Might as well fall back to the jungle. Well, as I say that though, he's actually level 4.5. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Silence. Is he going to die?
God. Just might.
There's another orb in 7. Yep, nope. Don't even need the orb.
First blood!
A level 2 Nyx Assassin just killed a level 2 Jakiro. Just like that. Just by walking.
Phonic landed orb or something? Or was it just
Nah, Phonic was literally just watching. Yeah. To be fair, Jakiro was a little bit low from, stacking and pulling, and then he just caught him off guard.
Big creepy for now for Phonic as well, so should be able to land level 4 from that. Just pretty damn good. Level 3 on Nyx Assassin after the kill as well, so if the option to go like into by Carapace or the second point into the Impale. Bottom lane here is a lane that we haven't really talked too much about. Slayer committing here to helping Afterlife. What do you make of this? Is it worth it just giving Afterlife these extras bit of CS? Because he is winning this lane.
I think it's worth it. I'm not sure Slayer could really do much else. You could argue that maybe he could be top. Can he get his kill? With a Bloodseeker he can.
Absolutely. Blood Rage on him, so Slayer's right clicks do so much more. And easy setup for G to finish it off, and definitely needs that.
Alright, Misha just dewarded 2 wards that were freshly planted. That is insane. Oh my god, that guy. Anyway, yeah, this Treant Protector, it's not like he could really accomplish too much else on the other lanes. I think if he was top, he would just take too much away from the Ursa and the Jakiro. And I think right now, if you're Vega, you do want to focus your experience, especially on the Ursa and the Jakiro. You want a lot of levels on Liquid Fire, so you get early towers. And by being here in this bottom lane, he secures that Afterlife doesn't die, and like you saw earlier, maybe they even get a kill.
He has 10 more last hits than a Dry Ranger, because it's actually super hard for these 2 heroes. I mean, Warlock's great against the solo lane. If it was just a Slaughter, you just kind of trade and spam Shadow Word and shit, but with the Drow Aura. But if it's 2 of these heroes, especially someone who has the Leech Seed to throw out, potential of Living Armor later, and who hits quite hard with Wind Protector, that impact gets potentially less, if that makes sense. So and then you're stuck with a Warlock who can't really do anything, and a Drow Ranger who doesn't really have the damage to contest either.
This is where you start wondering, would it make sense to move the Nyx Assassin down here? And I think it would, because if they had a stun and a bit of damage, they could probably kill the Slaughter or the Treant Protector, but because they don't have any vision on the Treant Protector, and that's like the great thing about Treant Protector as a roamer, is that he is almost never on the map, you almost never see him, so you don't really know where he is. Oh, and now he has a haste.
He's mid, yeah, with the haste rune, so Nyx, yes, spells available, but of course, very hard to line up a Light Strike array with the haste rune going.
Well, yeah, up until that point, you didn't really know where he was, so you couldn't really be sure. Is he still in lane? Is he not in lane? So that's why the Drow Ranger never really moved up. She was very hesitant about trying to go for last hits. And again, you don't really know. Where's the goddamn Shield Protector?
Yeah. Let's make his way back down bottom. He's in this. There's a sentry ward here.
Yeah.
So if we... Wait.
Oh, now he gets attacked, and you should know.
Still gets a leech seed off in draw range. Good silence though, but they're still going for it here. Rupture comes through, Afterlife, and easy stun whatever he wants it. Amplify damage to keep track. And...
Dyer's mid.
Well, geez, very deep. So he'll just TP out.
Do nothing about Dyer's structures right now.
Again, this is, I think, just where you desperately need the Nyx Assassin here. And I do agree with the decision to have him mid early on, but right now I don't think he's accomplishing anything on the map. He's soaking up a lot of experience on this offlane, which is great. But if he had been bottom, the Draw Ranger would probably survive.
All he's doing, like, map control wise, or like hero position dynamic wise, is kind of keeping silent, kind of babysitting, like straight up babysitting the real you here on the Ursa, just sitting in lane with him rather than stacking, pulling even. So that's like the extent of his impact right now.
Pretty much. And you're not really that scared of the Nyx Assassin as you are from... Oh, nope, they're not going to go for it. As you are from the Treant Protector, I think. Just because if he walks up to the lane, it's going to be easier to spot him than the Treant Protector.
Alright,
Where's the
go
Treant Protector?
No TP actually
should
on
be
some
safe.
Nyx.
Should be safe.
Silent, well, straight to late TP. Nice Ice Path though. Nyx still with the Rush on top of him, walks around a little bit, throws out some spells onto G, but now Slayer and Silent, they keep track of him and they will be able to finish up the kills, so support rotations end up being enough.
Bit greedy. She could have gone for the Jakiro or the Treant Protector kill, but she tried to go for the high value target on the Bot Seeker.
Oh god, I missed that one. Afterlife, ooh, that's a straight up solo kill, wow.
Solo kill, yep. And I think this is M19 just not making the right rotations. The Next
look
assassin,
at this.
alright.
Look at this, Afterlife, he's... Okay, what is happening here? Oh, okay, they're just running up. But yeah, Afterlife, he's level freaking 8. That's a level 5 Draw Ranger.
Second in net worth as well.
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep going here as well.
Smoking up and, I'm just gonna go again. This is a great amount of pressure coming up from Vega Squadron.
Oh, I might just intercept Lena here, going towards the bottom rune. Yeah, Afterlife just walks right into it. Nyx is unaware. Looks somewhere else on the map or something, but that's the highest value kill that you could have gotten. Was on top of that dwarf chart, but now with that kill, Afterlife just claimed that by like a couple gold coins.
This is very troublesome for M19. The reason why, or one of the reasons why Slaughter offlane sort of fell out of favor is that he's not supposed to get as much farm as he is right now. And, he as an offlane Slaughter, you don't really expect to get an early blink like this. But looking at his farm right now, he could get a blink in the next, 3-4 minutes? 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
And with an early blink dagger like that, heroes like Lena, like Jaw Rangers, they're just gonna be food. They don't have any defensive item. I mean, look at the Jaw Ranger, she doesn't have anything.
Yeah. It's not even... ILTW doesn't even have his level 6 yet, so this jungle is painfully slow. He's forced into it anyway, because, well, the rest of his team really smoking up to try and attempt to regain some map control down here on their side of the map. They might find Silent. He's playing a bit greedy, and he's level 6, he can throw out some spells to try and turn this around if he doesn't get chain lock. And yeah, he gets silenced up. Living armor, actually keeping him alive! he's surviving this too. The crush on top of the Nyx Assassin. Light Circle Raid just to zone him out, but now the Blood Raid. Forcing M19 still stick around in the danger zone, but Vega unable to follow up.
Oh my god, they just assumed that he was gonna be dead, and then the living armor just comes, and oh my god. That is so frustrating for M19.
Yeah.
Not getting a kill.
It's a huge rotation too, right? I mean, they would have been putting up pressure in mid here with ILTW, so but of course that's being healed up. And he barely got his level 6.
They invested so much time. They used that was the first usage of the Dream Coil. They might get Afterlife. That would be a huge kill now. Afterlife is
though, right? So, I mean, he's...
Oh, what?
What is that juke spot? I've never seen that in the history of Dota.
You need to Quelling Blade or eat a tree to get there, but he did that with a great presence of mind, and he just got away.
Well, Afterlife still hanging around in this very first life of his.
Top tower's in bad shape.
Visiting home. Just yet. But yeah, G. Oh god. They finally get silent. Alright. That was just straight up greedy, wasn't it?
But it's still just it's still just a Jakiro. They had 4 heroes down here for like the better
Oh yeah.
half of like 2 to 3 minutes, and meanwhile, G, look at the net worth. He's suddenly highest net worth on his own team, even though he got shut down so much in his own lane.
Yeah, 2 kills, many contested last hits, some jungle farm as well, I would imagine. Yeah, he's recovered. And we haven't talked about the Ursa, but he's finished up that. Vladimir's offering. You have that amplified damage, and all of that adds up to a very quick Roshan. M19, they seem to be aware of it, but can we really do anything? Without the coil? Not really. Without level 6 and Warlock? Just have to give this up.
So quick, and they're gonna go find the
Rupture here. Funnick, he's in a lot of trouble. Please don't die. I've got you as the last player to die, but it doesn't look like that's the case now. LTW dropping very, very low. They still keep track of him, slowed down slightly by the upheaval, level 3. So they can't finish up on that kill, but it's base created. They get Roche, they get a kill. What more do you want? Afterlife Stink, I guess, he's
getting to it. He's getting to it. This farm has been stagnant for a while now, but still, even if it's going to be like a, 15-16 minute Blink Dagger, it's still going to be pretty much on point. Together with treads as well. It's not just, raw boots into Blink. No, it's treads. And even with Magic Wand, all that adds up. He's quite tanky. And this is very worrisome for M19.
Pace Red, it's also lining up much better with Ursa's Blink. Right? He's still like 500 gold behind his ladder, and now he's focusing on his farm, so you still get it slightly ahead of his carry. But that's like the big Blink combo that you're looking for. Early Blink with Slada, early Blink on Ursa. Then you have the setup as well as the follow-up from the physical damage output.
Yep, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Afterlife would just wait for that Blink Dagger either. If they just agreed that, hey, let's just wait on the Ursa Blink Dagger as well. But
Funnick dodges the silence, still gets ruptured though, and Slayer is not gonna get close enough. Jakiro dies again, mid. Okay.
The Radiant lost the top tower.
You should set up with Invis. All right, that's acceptable. I think.
If you're Vega though, you're totally fine. If Silent keeps tanking these ganks, sure, whatever. It's not great by any means, but they still get the better trade. They take a tier 1, they force out Funnick out of the lane as well, and again, they're very much closer to their own Blink Daggers.
And they don't lose the towers because Screen Protector. Sounds like a Dota 2 bot tweet, but that's what it is really. Such an annoying hero to deal with.
Yep, and this is why a lot of people respect the Treant Protector and usually ban it against most teams because, utilizing a Treant Protector like this is just incredibly annoying. Not even because of the living armor, but also, the landing stage, the threat he poses on the map.
That is, you'll have to set up on Silent. He will zap down despite the overgrowth.
3 ultimates committed.
Yeah. They really want this tower, and for that the Warlock Golem will be invaluable, but they actually tank a tower aggro. Be a zone out by G.
I'm not even gonna get the tower. They committed 3 ultimates for a kill and a bit of chip damage towards the tower, but like we pointed out, chip damage doesn't do jack shit if you have a Treant Protector.
Just sad that all these kills have to be in Jakiro. Hashtag stop dragon abuse.
Ursa has a Blink Dagger and he sees a Draw Ranger.
Right, TPing out, he has a Blink Dagger of his own, but yeah, oh god. You'll still get the kill. What? Come on, dude. Come on. Could have committed for that. You have freaking ages.
The thing is, he didn't realize that the Draw Ranger TP'd in. If he had known that she TP'd in, I think he would have gone for it because he should have known that then the next TP would have been delayed.
Yeah.
Because Nyx Assassin wouldn't have been in range, or wouldn't have made it on time to actually save her.
If he was, I don't see a Nyx Assassin killing him.
Oh. Ironically, by the way, Nyx Assassin pinged it out. He's like, dude, be careful there. Like, he constantly pinged out the Draw Ranger, so... I will say that it has been a bit obvious, I guess. You don't see the Ursa for 60 minutes, pretty much. I guess he's been part of 2 kills or something, but you don't really see him for too long. What could he be up to?
Well, I'll tell you what the Slaughter's up to. Just showing off his Blink on top of the Lina. He's not been ruptured, but still a lot of damage over time on top of him. G just drop for someone else instead. 2 kills, easy.
I think my game time prediction is totally off.
Possibly. I let you I'll let you goad me into picking it as well. So.
Radiant lost the towers. Radiant
Smoke and kills is also incorrect because I
Hashtag
pressed
blame
0
skin.
and it's 1. Oh yeah, absolutely. Blame skin. Every day of the week. But now Phonic, he's actually completely out of mana. And he dodges that one, so good on him. Got enough of the stick charges for the orb, but not enough time to actually jaunt her to the high ground. Now Overgrowth, keeping Nyx Assassin and Shag follow up with the Ice Path. Ursa got hit by the stun, but look at this damage! Where's that coming from?
It's quite funny how Dota is sometimes. You know, if you just look at this game, if you haven't watched a single CIS game, and you look at this game, you have to think to yourself, wow, Vega has to be like the absolute favorites, and M19 are probably at the bottom of the table, right? But
Not
no.
really. And some of these things can be very subtle. Like I talked with Garda, might get it back into that in a moment here. Slayer dropping very, very low, but Living Armor keeping him alive. But now Nyx is in trouble. Afterlife with a blink stun. No immediate follow up though. Ursa, no mana to really come in with the overpower. At least not really confident enough. It's the Lucid Jakiro one at a time. But yeah, I was talking briefly with Garda, and sometimes these drafts they look so strong because the laning stage worked out. But if the laning stage just goes a little bit different, if Drow Ranger doesn't get shut down as much, maybe M19 is the one who's just looking absolutely dominating. Some of these subtle changes can have a butterfly effect in a game of Dota.
Of course, and this is why I think Dota is or why it's so important in Dota to have best of 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
Not to go on a rant about this qualifier format, but I think a lot of the times teams would. Oh, never mind.
Double crush from Afterlife. They get the detection onto the Nyx Assassin with the ultimate, I believe. Oh no, that was the other target. They still bring him down though. It doesn't matter what's happening.
But yeah, because again, I don't think that M19 is a bad team by any means. I think if you watched them up until now, I think you would argue that they're surprisingly strong actually. But the fact that, like you said, one thing can lead to another, and then suddenly your draft looks like shit and garbage, even though you are actually pretty good. It's these things that I think is why Dota should be a best of 3 game, and why I think if we see M19 in a best of 3 in the playoffs, which we're guaranteed to see.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a completely different M19 than we see in this game. But right now, Vega look very dominating. M19, they look like almost amateurs in person, just because nothing is working for them right now, and everything is working for Vega.
Yep. Well, maybe it's a little bit... I guess it's 20 minutes in, so it's not too early to think about ways how M19 could come back into this, because they have some tools available now, right? Puck struggling, didn't go for the Veil, just trying to go straight towards his Blink, which they desperately need as well. So once he has that up, you can definitely see like a Blink Carl on a few heroes, Fatal Bonds starting to come out on Warlock as well, into the Golem, so there's some potential, but it's going to be down to Vega's Squadron, kind of not positioning yourself properly, being caught up in Nyx. You need some help from Vega to make this happen easily.
I think it's a bit of a mistake for Phonic, though, to not go for the Veil straight away. If he had gone for the Whale, he'd be much tankier than he is right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the Diacria dies and has a Mythical Hammer. That was supposed to be a BKB, or... Oh, that was also supposed to be Alina here in the mid lane, but she's gone.
Well,
yeah,
he doesn't have the full BKB, the other items, so it's... At the end
True.
of the day, it's just like, what, 24 damage? Yeah, Osa doesn't care
and
about
wards
24
and
damage,
sentries. Wards and sentries.
That's the more important one, yeah. These sentries have
but
against Nyx.
But yeah, I think that going for a Veil on the puck would have been much better. Makes him more tanky, and I'm pretty sure, like, one situation or two, he might have even survived if he had just had more armor.
Maybe they could have gotten the kill on Silent early if he had it at that point. Not sure if that was too early. First place, but yeah. It's a decision that you make. You have limited resources, and you'll only find out if that was the right choice or not. If depending on whether you find some good links or not and some good initiations. Right now, all they really find, they keep finding Jakiro. At the end of the day, it's only Jakiro. Archer comes through.
Poor Silent.
Onto the puck. Can't do anything.
The thing is, if you're Vega, you're still okay with the trade, because again, you take a tier 2, you get a lot of map control, and you only lose a Jakiro for it. And it almost seems deliberate at this point. They're like, yo, can you just throw yourself at this tower so we can take it?
Yeah.
Because at first it looked like they were considering maybe baiting him, but then they realized, oh, you know what, let's just die for the tower. It's fine.
So I got a tweet, stop dragon abuse.
Stop dragging
Get
these
this
in.
hashtag going.
As for the other items in this game, the Radiant, they don't really have a big item coming up. They do have the Blink now on the Puck, but outside of that, they don't really have, you know, that one item that could help them. I do think like a Force Staff or like a Glimmer Cape could be huge for them, but none of the supports are really close to any items. And the Draw Ranger, I guess she's sort of close. She's halfway to a Force Staff. She's halfway to a Force Staff.
Yeah. It's great that ILTW is sort of keeping up at the very least after this disastrous landing stage. So, that's also one of these heroes that still can come back if you just leave her alone.
Dire's top tower's getting
Take them to
beat down.
towers on the other side of the map here from where the rest of the heroes are.
Structure's looking
Right now though, that's
fortified.
not M19's game plan. They want to try and leverage this blink, they want to leverage the golem as much as they can, but Misha can only go as far as the sentries and still have some of these.
It's the
Actually,
first
there was
tier 1
yeah.
for M19.
Ruin that Radiant's
Draw Ranger lineup takes the first tier 1 22 minutes in.
mid tower.
After losing 4 of their own towers.
Yep. But this is, you know, this is Vega also just playing very strategically and playing very smartly. Again, I highlighted in the laning stage the fact that they let the Jakiro be by himself in the dual lane. Well, sort of by himself, you know, but pulling and stacking by himself. That did give him the experience to get an early level 4 on the Liquid Fire, and with that, it's much easier to take those towers.
Right. What's next here on the item docket for Vega? I guess 3 of you. Well, we were talking about the BKB earlier. Same for G by the looks of it. So is that just the timing to go? Alright, we have BKBs, we don't care about silencers, we don't care as much about Lina. Just keep going, get the tier 2s, get Roche again.
Well, they're certainly not really scared about the physical damage from this Draw Ranger lineup just yet, as ironic as that may sound. But they just don't really deal that much damage just yet. Draw Ranger only has, you know, 2 items really that provide agility, and outside of that, she's just very underleveled as well. And if you're Vega with the Aegis now and your 2 BKBs, I definitely think you try and force something. You don't really want to give the Draw Ranger lineup a way to get back into this game like they are right now. They have to sacrifice this tower because they're going to go for the Aegis.
Oh,
But
funny.
you don't really want to give them more. Oh!
Came in to try and steal it, but Nurgan's ruptured up. And he will be dead, will he? Yeah.
That was not worth it.
Like, he saw that the Aegis wasn't picked up immediately, because really he was picking up the cheese first, then kinda had to venture around inventory slots. But damn, that was crazy.
Maybe you spend too much time staring at the moon. Anyway, yeah, now that these BKBs are up, you have Cheese, you have Aegis, I kind of expect Vega to try and force something now. There's no real reason to give M19 more time to farm up items. And if you look at the Lina, they do farm up items. Lina almost has her Bloodstone.
Yeah.
So you really don't really want to give them that much more time because you are ahead.
Still 900 gold away, but yeah, it's definitely a concern. But it looks like Vega, they know that too, so they're grouping up towards this middle lane, tier 2 tower. Bottom lane is kind of being pushed far in for the Radiant side, so that's not too much of a concern. And the deep push from M19 is also actually pretty decent if they can get close enough. Finally can throw that on the Illusory Orb, and the Dragon Slave from the Lena will finish up a quick wave quite handily. They'll come in to play once the high ground
Radiant's mid tower
makes an appearance. Until then, Vega have a catapult and they'll stay alive.
I'm not sure what Vega is doing right now.
Yeah.
It feels like they're trying to go for the sort of like split push game where the 4 of them will siege the tier 2 mid and the Jakir will sort of like split push the other tier 2. But Jakir is A, not close to it, and B, the others can't really siege that well. Ursa doesn't siege that well, certainly not against Puck and Lina, or the Warlock, or you know, a lot of these heroes are just very good against sieging. And I don't know, it feels like Vega is just not on really top of this game right now. Even though they're ahead, it feels like they're not really sure what to do. Like, guys, you know, what do we do?
Surely this can't be a matter of like, maybe they don't know how far ahead they are, because certainly they should have enough game sense that to figure out that they have the option to just run over M19 for the most part.
they might just want to wait for one more item, or maybe two more items on certain
Radiant's
heroes,
mid
or
tower's coming
or you know, I guess they waited for Jakiro to push in the T2 bottom. They feel
Yeah,
more
I mean-
comfortable pushing this one, but I still feel like they just wasted a lot of time mid.
Yeah. They could have at least taken the tier 2. I can definitely understand pushing a side lane high ground rather than the mid lane first, because like all these shrines and like the way the pressure works on the other sides of the map and whatnot. Well, they will find Lena, so that's good. He just picked up the Bloodstone too. Good dodge here on Afterlife on the Light Strike Array. The deny comes out, so already just picked up down to 8 charge. Someone needs to address top though.
No breaking through the
Actually, do
Dire's
they really?
treasure
Well,
chest.
Living Arbor says no.
Yep, looks like they're just gonna go for this now. Or are they?
Mid tower could
Nope,
use a
they're just
little
gonna fall
help.
back. Maybe. See, they
This
seem so
seems weird.
indecisive. They seem a bit indecisive as to, you know, do we go, do we not go? The Lena's gonna be back, 5-on-5. Do we really want to take this? They have all these big AoE ultimates, and I think that's pretty much what you said. I'm not sure they really know how far ahead they actually are in terms of net worth and in terms of items. They have these BKBs. What are they gonna do once those BKBs are up? Like they can Warlock ultimate, I guess, or like
Yay.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Moment you waste. Drow Rangers getting closer to yet another level of the ultimate. So next row agility item, precision or damage already up to plus 63, which is decent. The worst, but yeah, they've been spending a little time. Now they get to blink in on the outside actually. Not sure what Nyx is doing there, but enough follow up, and now the team fight control comes through on the Slaughter. The Aurelio comes in with the BKB, popping that one out, tries to get these right clicks off, but the wall of Golem is enough to at least keep him away from the Lena, but not enough to stay alive up against the wrath of the Ursa. Got the tier 2 mid.
Tower's getting banged up.
Did they really walk away from this? Alright.
Yeah,
No
I don't know.
coil, no
either. They saw
golem,
the
they
dro-
haven't used any other order ultimates? Like, why? Let's end the freaking game, or just... Okay.
Oh, the Draw Ranger TP got cancelled. She's stuck up here.
Yeah, there's
They
some
can
help
kill her.
coming, Afterlife. With a blink, search, rush forward. It's a dead hero. Oh man. Can't silence, but she can't fight.
It was almost well played from her because she pushed the tree away from her, but because she was in a very awkward spot where the tree line was always gonna be close enough so that the invis wouldn't break, he still got the root off, even though he was silent.
Again, look at this! Silent cancel another TP from Nyx Assassin, the most unlikely place ever. Misha will get the stun off. Well, he will still take a spell. It was a crime of rhyme. Sorry.
Is this gonna be enough to go high ground, guys? They lost the Aegis, by the way, so they could have legitimately pushed high ground with the Aegis. I do think that, you know, in hindsight, getting the Draw Ranger kill was still very valuable, but overall, I still think, you know, when the Warlock Golem was dropped, just go high ground with the Aegis, man.
Yeah.
They're playing it so safe. I guess. See, if this was tournament, I guess it is sort of tournament life on the line for Vega, right?
It is very
They-
a very important game for them, yeah. They have to win
Yeah,
this.
they definitely need to win this. So I guess I understand that part, but I still think they could have gone high ground.
I mean, part of being a really great team is having confidence in your own abilities and just having the knowledge, alright, we can actually pull this off with the BKBs, with everything that we need. And I don't know, maybe Vega was lacking that. There is such a thing as playing too safe sometimes, because once again, right now it doesn't really look like M19 has too much to offer, right? They aren't really getting too much crazy gold amounts onto the heroes, but they have the
Oh, if they
space
find
to go
this
for
kill.
these kind of kills now. Because of this trepidation from Vega Squadron. And this is so big. 845 for Phonic. A lot of AoE gold spilled out. Which
But
makes for like
suddenly half his
1.8k
aggregates.
gold to exchange.
He is one component away from his Aghanim. 500 gold away from Aghanim Scepter. For Puck that got his blink, what, 18 minutes into the game or something?
Yeah.
That is huge. And yeah, suddenly they're going to take a tier 2 as well. What is Vega going to do? They can knock on this bottom tier 3 tower, but because the Jakir isn't here, the damage is not going to be significant. And they're not even going to do any damage.
Yeah, all they really have is that catapult chipping away mids. 150 health points. Yay.
So yeah, I think, like you said, I think definitely the fact that they've been so hesitant is going to bite them in the ass, or it looks to be that way at least. This just the kill itself already got them a lot of gold, but it also buys them a lot of time and space.
Yeah.
Vega was already pretty hesitant, but now that they know that their carry died and they just gave away an item, pretty much, possibly they feel even more hesitant and they'll think to themselves, all right, maybe I need to farm out that additional item. Maybe I need an Abyssal first before I can really go high ground.
Well, I hope they catch themselves. Next Roshan, something that you can look at, may respawn in a couple of seconds. Find out when exactly right now, and it's a very quick respawn time. Both of these teams are in a majority around this Roche pit. TW the only one farming down bottom, no TP for 15 seconds, the rest of the team grouped up. Outside of vision from Vega. At the same time, M19 also have no idea where the opponents are.
Yeah, but they're playing it very well. They're very close to one another, so even if, they walk into somebody, they will ultimately be able to respond to it.
Straight for Roche, they're going to the high ground here, the smoke will break, the dodge is done. Don't blink up forward here, blinking into no vision would have been disastrous, so instead, let's dodge that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if M19 smoke up and try and contest the Roche. Their lineup does work exceptionally well inside the Roche pit, but as I say that, both Jar Ranger and Lina move away from it, so they're going to decide to not fight it, which I think is also a good choice. Fighting high ground is definitely favorable towards you, forcing Vega to Squadron to blink aggressively, to walk up that choke point, and with the long range on both Lina and Jar Ranger, they can definitely kite them around.
Downside is, of course, it's a necessary evil at this point, but once again, there's an Aegis, and this time we're also a cheese on Bloodseeker.
Two cheeses. Isn't that two cheeses? Isn't this
still
the
have
second?
the
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah. Afterlife has... So, yes. G had it for...
Would that be enough
a
for
while
high
now.
ground? Oh, they... What? What? He finds Nyx, pops a BKB, it's just he doesn't get guided. Yield Scepter
He's gonna
into
blink
another
out, isn't he?
crush. No
Oh,
way.
no! He tried to be cute. I think he could have
Oh,
even blinked
no.
without the Yold Scepter.
Not sure the blink would have been enough even anyway.
Yeah.
How
good
did
point.
how did he find him there? That was just I don't know if he
Intuition.
saw him go into the trees or something. Or like,
Possibly, yeah. Must have.
damn. And of course, into Lina, Bloodstone was fueled up a little bit more, so it's still a fairly low respawn time. Still down to 6 charges now, so that won't stay like that for long. Alright, 2 cheeses, butterfly, and Aegis, BKBs. Is this enough for them to high ground skim?
Dude, don't ask too much of them. It looks to be that way, and I think they definitely feel a bit of pressure now to go uphill, but...
Might get you curious, or if the bad bad counter initiation here, they instantly annihilate Lina, no buyback on her. The golem will be taken care of just as quickly. This is what we expect them to see here. They pop the axe Carl, so they will be stunned up, but no follow-up damage immediately. They are still all linked up. They might be able to get the Jakiro, but maybe it's just a bait. But yeah, the damage from the Fatal Bonds will still finish him up. But at what cost here? The Aurelio is just still going back in. 1, 2, 3, I'm on a killing spree. Triple kill for G. This will be a dead set of racks. Maybe even 2. No buybacks on anyone but the Dry Ranger. He uses it now. It's gonna be down to either to W and Nisha. Trying to do something, but Afterlife pulls the trigger first here. That's a dieback! Straight off the back! GG well played. Yeah, there's no way to fight this now.
See, the funny thing about this is we could have had this maybe like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I legitimately don't think that this would have been any different if it had happened 10 minutes earlier. If anything, this was a pretty good shot from an M19 to take this fight. They had pretty good items. They had the Dream Coil Aghanim's. They had a lot of items on the Draw Ranger actually towards the end. So I don't know. This was just a bit of hesitation from a Vega squadron. Again, totally understandable considering tournament life was on the line, and M19 gotta look at themselves. I hope they don't look towards the draft. I do think the draft was perfectly fine. Maybe could have gone for something less greedy, consideration towards the Lina. Maybe a Razor could have worked, actually. But overall, Vega very convincing. And going into that final encounter versus Navi, I do think that they are somewhat of a favorite, potentially.
Okay. Team Spirit actually won against Navi. So this is interesting. Team Spirit is at 7-2, M19 now as well. Empire still has another game up against against Gambit, so it doesn't really matter much. They might secure the first seed, but there's no way they lose here. What we will have is Vega Squadron at 6-2, Navi at 5-3. That's the scores right now. So the very last match will decide which of these two teams. Will decide whether Vega goes straight through, or whether there's going to be a tiebreaker between these two
Tiebreaker,
teams
yeah.
again. So
Yes.
we could potentially get two of these games if Navi win it.
Gonna be exciting. Gonna be exciting. And
How? Yeah, these are the greatest qualifiers when the very last match determines the fate of some of these teams. Oh, I'm looking forward to this now. So looking
Empire
forward to it.
has to play Gambit. If Empire win, they're the first seed. If they don't
Yeah.
win, we have a three-way tie between Empire, Spirit, and M19. And let me just quickly check.
I don't think that
Spirit
matters.
won. No, it does.
It
Because
matters for
if
seeds,
it's
I
like
guess. Yeah.
right, exactly. If it's yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
If it's like a three-way tie, no, Spirit lost against both Empire and M19.
Yeah.
Empire won
against M19, so they
yeah,
will be
so
ahead.
they would definitely be no, they are definitely number one seed then now.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, so that Empire game doesn't really matter. That's on the other stream as well. Our next game also doesn't matter, Command Chef versus Effect. But I guess it's a little bit of breather for us to mentally prepare for the Navi versus Vega game. And of course also for Comanche and Effect to show off what they can do here. Get us some entertaining Dota. In the earlier game, Comanche versus Gambit also didn't matter really, but they still showed us quite an entertaining game. So I'm looking forward to this next one. For now though, we'll take a short break. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at DragonDropDota and at Skim Gaming. But don't go too far away.
What does a hero truly mean?